What's up, everybody? I'm Caleb Ochoa, also known as NFL Caleb 22. This is Bet in the NFL week number 11, and I'm with my co-host. He wasn't here last week, but here is this week. Derek Wesley, also known as DWeezy. What's going on, man?
Not much. Ready to get in these lines and find a couple more winners to give the people.
All right, man. Glad to have you back. Um, it's always good to have you. More opinions, more information, and that equals more money. So yeah, we'll just get right into it. First start with the recap of the week, and I'll start with the favorites. And this was a bit of a different week. Something you don't see all the time is the favorites got their ass kicked. And straight up wise, they went 6-8 in week 10. That gives them 88, 61, and one overall. And obviously, you see that straight up favorites mostly win most of the time. But this week, it's some that you don't see every week is that they actually they were on the losing side this time. Any thoughts on how that happened of all these straight up upsets that happened this week?
Um, Personally, I mean, not to say it's a fluke, but I think it could just be one of those weeks that you see occur every now and then, not unheard of. Um, but yeah, middle of the year, some teams coming off buys, some teams, still haven't gotten to the buy. Uh, it doesn't shock me that the potential for something like this occurs. You get the right combination in a week. I mean, it was just the other week that everybody in the NFL was talking about how there was only one matchup between two teams with winning records. So to say that, the favorites lost outright, my first question would be, how many of these favorites were serious favorites, more than, say, 4 or 5 point favorites? Um, because at the end of the day, regardless of who's playing who, you're gonna have a favorite and an underdog.
And we saw a couple of these lines shift late in the week. Like the Steelers Saints is one that I think switched favorites later on as they got closer to the game. Also, the Cardinals and Rams game I think switched as well. So that can be attributed to a lot of upsets happening um, that happened. But also to go along with that, against the spread, the favorites went 5-9. Uh, Underdogs just keep on winning. 62, 84 in 4. Big all season long. Underdogs are hitting. So just want to just keep betting the dogs because it's working out. Home teams 8-5. In week 10, 79, 63, and 1. So pretty much no change there straight up with the home teams winning against the spread. They finally got an edge on the away teams. We saw earlier in the season away teams were winning against the spread. Now it has shifted to more the home teams are winning. They finally have the edge at 73, 72, and 4. And finally the over and unders. Um, Points are finally starting to get slowly starting to be scored. Week 10, they went 7-7. Usually the under has the edge every week. This time we see it more evened out. And but still overall, the unders have hit way more than the overs at 60, 88, and 2. All right. And next we'll get to the biggest upset of the week, which came in the Washington Commanders plus 11 on the money line. They were plus 390 at Philadelphia Eagles. Was on Monday night. This is why big point spreads and divisional matchup are so scary because rivals know each other, especially a rival that has been hot in recent weeks, like the Commanders have since Heineke took over. Um, and that's why trouble betting these games. That's why I stay away from these big point spreads, especially in the divisional matchup. Um, the Eagles, got their weaknesses kind of exposed in this game. The run defense, they've been a problem for them um, for the most part of the season. They gave up 152 yards on the ground. The Eagles' inability to score in the second half also showed up. They only scored 7 points in the second half. They had a bunch of turnovers that included 3 fumbles and an interception. Eagles couldn't really run the ball, barely had the ball at all in the game, really. And McLaurin just had a lot of big plays for the Commanders, got 8 receptions, 128 yards, to get the big plays for them. Um, and then, yeah, like I said, I've been saying I've been really bought into the Eagles, even though they've had the best record and they still have the best record. But just because of the flaws that have showed up in this game in particular, I just haven't really bought into the Eagles. I don't really see this offense being sustainable, especially now in the playoffs. And you see what happens when they play a team twice in a season that didn't really work out for them in the second time. And I think that they can run into some more trouble going forward when they see other teams and better teams and teams that they've seen already in the season, like in the division. But what do you think about this game?
Which game? Oh yeah, Monday Night Football. As you said, yes, I agree with you. When the with a large spread in a divisional matchup, it can definitely get risky trying to play it either way. Just because you don't know what you're going to get. I mean, you can get two teams that are at opposite ends of the standings in the division, put them on the field, and you get a 1-2 point game outcome as far as margin of victory. You can throw spreads out the door, you can throw totals out the door. Um, I mean, I think the best market to potentially try and target a division matchup would probably be in the live markets if that's available where you're at, because it gives you a chance to see what these teams are doing against each other, whether it be, the first 5 minutes of a game, the first half of the first quarter, or even if you maybe waiting a little bit later looking for a specific number on something. Uh, but yeah, just when it comes to those large spreads, it can definitely get a little risky simply because you don't know what you're going to get. And, everybody probably expected the Philadelphia Eagles to walk away with this game. And unfortunately, they just had a bad game. It might have been their first bad game of the season, but that's all it takes is having a bad game and the other team going out there and being able to perform, and you get an outcome like what we saw where a team was, you know, I don't know the closing line on the spread off the top of my head, but a 4 or 5 point underdog win by double digits. That definitely says that the spread didn't reflect the potential outcome of this game. Now, that could have a lot to do with it just being a divisional matchup. Maybe the Eagles have an off night. I definitely wouldn't say that the Commanders were the better team. But when it came to Monday night, they clearly were the better team on the field.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, you don't really have to be a better team in divisional matchups. Um, that's why they always said, throw out the records because they just know each other so well, and it can go either way in those type of games. Next, we'll get to the largest cover against the spread. Came in the Cleveland Browns at the Miami Dolphins, -3.5. The Dolphins laying the points. Um, Tua is back, obviously, and he's been red hot since he's been back. The Dolphins have now won 4 straight games, scoring over 30 points in the last 3 games. He had another good day, threw for 3 touchdowns, just kind of overwhelmed the Browns with their offensive firepower. Jeff Wilson Jr., who just got to the Dolphins um, via trade, went off for 17 carries, 119 yards, and a touchdown. Browns only gave it to Chubb 11 times, and which is a big reason why they got blown out. If they don't give it to him, it's likely they're going to lose. The Browns couldn't really keep pace with them, and they were nowhere near covering the spread at all. They were always behind around 14 points pretty much the entire game.
Yeah, this is one game where I was surprised the spread was as short as it was going into the game. I believe it was minus 3.5 for the Dolphins, like you said, in most places. Um, that just seemed like a very short line. I think a lot of people expected the defense of Cleveland to maybe show up a bit more, giving them the ability to feed Chubb, control the clock, try and run the ball, maintain time of possession, things like that. And unfortunately, as we saw, this is not a team that can come back when they get behind. And Miami was able to get out to a lead and maintain it throughout the rest of the game. And Cleveland had no real counter to what Miami was doing.
All right, next we got the bad beat of the week. And that's obviously got to come in the Minnesota Vikings at the Buffalo Bills. Bills were minus 3.5. It was just one of the worst types of blunders to just fumble right there in your own end zone because of a bad snap. Then obviously the Vikings recover the ball for a touchdown, take the lead. But the Bills were up 4 points, covering the spread with only 49 seconds left. All they had to do is run off less than a minute off the clock, and they couldn't do that. And what was even worse than that, a couple drives before, the Bills had a 10-point lead, and they were on the Minnesota 7-yard line, ready to go up by 17 points. That's when Josh Allen throws a bad pick at the 5-yard line, which allowed the Vikings to go down, cut the lead to 4. And they even had a chance in overtime. They could have even covered in overtime, but obviously they let the Vikings go down, take the field goal, and even if they had scored a touchdown after that to win the game, it still would not cover the spread. But that is the bad. They had a chance to cover, multiple chances to cover.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you that this is a bad beat, for sure. Um, as you were saying, having that many chances to cover is definitely a heartbreaker. Um, especially, in the instance like what we saw, having a lead late in the game. You see the Vikings drive all the way downfield, go for it on fourth down in the red zone at the 1 yard line, and if I'm not mistaken, even got extra chances at at the goal line, and we're still shut out. And then we see them come back and mishandle the snap and fumble it in the end zone. Vikings recover that fumble, and I mean, really, it just seemed all downhill from there. By far, this is probably one of the meaner bad beats out there. And I actually have another one for you that you may like. I was on the under 41 in the Thursday night game last week with the Carolina
Okay.
Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons. And sure enough, if there weren't a couple missed extra points and field goals and things in that game that sure enough helped ensure that that under 41 came in. And,
Yeah.
really it's about perspective. I was holding that under 41. Oh, I was loving it. I was sitting in the stands screaming and hollering about some missed extra points.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about what side you're on when it comes to the bad beat. Obviously, if you're on the wrong side, it's a bad beat.
Yeah, like you said, it definitely matters what side you're on. Uh, and I think, a lot of that, just, it boils down to, like I said, that perspective, when it comes down to it, luck's involved with a lot of this, and the best you can do is handicap something and hope it plays out in your favor in the way you thought. And if it doesn't, maybe you get lucky.
Absolutely. All right, I get to my personal bets of the week. I did not have a great week. Uh, Went 2-3, but still have a winning record. I still have 26, 23, and 1. Still on the winning side overall. But my best bet was picking the Steelers plus 2.5 over the Saints. And last week I did say I wasn't very confident in this bet. I didn't really have a lot of smoke behind this bet. They look pretty awful. They look pretty awful. So I was like, I'm just gonna bet the other way against them, and you know what? It worked out for me, and that's pretty much all I went off of. And hey, sometimes it just works out like that, and you get lucky.
Exactly. I'd be the wrong person to tell you to, ignore your gut or something like that. I think the best people in this business, they will tell you, yes, a lot of stats and info go into the decision making, but there are some instances where, yes, your gut is a prime factor into that decision making process. And sometimes that can be a tool that you can't measure.
Yeah, and this is like I said, this was one of the lines actually shifted because I got him 2.5 on Tuesday, and by the end of the week, this game was the Steelers were actually favored by 1. Um, so that was also I see that I actually was getting points on that one. Um, but my worst bet was obviously the Indianapolis Colts at the Las Vegas Raiders -6. I just did not think an interim head coach with no experience would come in here and win a game. I thought they were completely taken, which they were taken, but they ended up winning the game. Um, I just don't know how that happens. Sometimes the simplest answer to why that happened is the right answer, and that is because the Las Vegas Raiders suck, and that is just the bottom line of it. They're really bad. Saturday made the decision to go back to Matt Ryan. Obviously, I didn't know that when I made the bet on Tuesday. Um, but they finally get Jonathan Taylor going. He had 147 yards and a touchdown. Matt Ryan had a pretty decent game. But the defense, the Raiders defense, just been bad all season, and it couldn't even look worse when you saw Matt Ryan just running quarter to go when the Raiders were up by 1. Just a sad sight there. And Matt Ryan, Matt Ryan, throws when he touchdown 2 plays later. I was very confident that the Raiders probably gonna blow them out, but yeah, like I said, they just suck, and that's why they lost.
Yeah, I thought for sure there was no way that the Colts would be walking away with a victory Sunday. You know, not to say that it would all be Saturday's fault, but there just seems like a lot's going wrong there. And when you look across the field and see the Las Vegas Raiders, you clearly see there's more dysfunction taking place with the Las Vegas Raiders than the Indianapolis Colts, which is mind boggling given all that we've heard over the past couple of weeks about how things have been playing out in Indianapolis. So yeah, I think that to say that there is someone out there outdoing the Colts as far as the worst organization in the NFL right now, that's just a bit sad.
Yeah, definitely. All right. How did you do last week? We did not hear any of your picks last week, so yeah.
Um, and that might have been for the better because I didn't have a winning week. I had a few teasers that didn't come through. One that did come in. I was on the Panthers game teasing the spread. Panthers plus 8.5. I took the under, and so I was able to get more. But as I said earlier, I was on the under on the game total, expecting that to hit. The teaser I had for the Panthers that came in clearly because the Panthers won outright, and we came in under 41. Um, I was on the uh, the Cleveland Browns in their game. I thought that that might be a closer matchup, that we'd see more of a rushing attack, and that clearly wasn't the case. But yeah, I definitely think for the most part, as I mentioned, that game total under was my best bet on the week. Ended up getting burned in one teaser that I had because of Josh Allen and his fumble. Because if he doesn't fumble, we don't go to overtime. Buffalo wins outright and covers a
Mhm.
-1, which hits a three-leg teaser, which means I win. But no, that's not the case. No, we can't have that. No, Josh Allen has to do Josh Allen like things. And I wish I could
Yeah.
say it was the center's fault. I saw the snap. I wish I could say it was the center's fault. No, it was a good snap. He just rushed it. I don't know how to express it accurately into words without cussing, but yes, it was Josh Allen's fault, and the fact that he was unable to fall on the ball at his feet, a safety would have saved the day most likely, and we didn't even get that. So yeah, those that's how my football weekend was going last week.
All right. Before we get into our bets this week, we like to help you guys out to make some money. So if you guys can help us out by liking this video and subscribing to not this channel, but our new channel that this show is moving to next week. This is the last show on this channel that Betting the NFL will be on the Let's Get Ready Network YouTube channel. We will be moving to the Let's Get Ready uh, network, the Highlights channel. So please go over there and subscribe to that channel because that is where this show will be on for the rest of the time we do this. So go do that, and if you really want to support us, join our Patreon. The link is in the description down below, and join whatever tier that fits you. So go ahead and do that. All right, and we will now get into our bets for week 11, and I will start with the Philadelphia Eagles at the Indianapolis Colts plus 6.5. I'm taking the Colts plus 6.5. I'm a big believer in momentum carrying over from a big win into the next game, um, especially when there's a major change at quarterback or head coach. And in this case, the Colts did both. I picked the Jets and the Commanders after their wins when they made their change from at their quarterback position, and they both carried that kind of juice that they got from making the change from Zach Wilson or Taylor Heineke. And then the next game, they won those games. Um, so I'm gonna go with the Colts again. Thinking that they're gonna carry that over, that carry that momentum into this next game, especially they're at home. Um, um, you know, I think that does factor in here. Also, they're getting 6.5 points. Eagles just came off a sloppy game on Monday night, losing to the Commanders. The Eagles have trouble stopping the run, and guess who's back? Jonathan Taylor's back in action. He looks like he's back to his old self. I think the Eagles are going to once again have a problem stopping the run. If the Colts can manage to keep it close or even take the lead in the first half, then I think the Eagles will have trouble again scoring in the second half, which has been their been their problem pretty much all season. And I think that will ensure the Colts covering the spread. I don't think they'll win, but I think it'll be much closer than the spread suggests.
Yeah, looking at this game, I'm gonna be on the other side of things. I'm on with the Eagles minus the 6.5. I think that resurgence that we saw out of the Colts in last week, I don't think we see a repeat of that. I do think that, you know, in a lot of ways, that game benefited the Eagles last week, losing to Washington more than it hurt them. Um, yes, it was a divisional game that they lost, but in a division where it's looking like they may be likely to run away with the division lead, or at minimum not be worried about a tiebreaker with Washington. I think it gave them a chance to see some of their flaws, some of the areas that they need to work on. And even though they will see be without Dallas Goddard for some time. I think they do have the offensive pieces on that team to continue to put up some of the offensive numbers that we've seen, whether it be through Hurts on the ground and through the air, AJ Brown, Miles Sanders in the running game, and who I'm not sure his exact numbers in the passing game, but throughout his time in Philadelphia, he has continued to be a threat in the passing game, just adding another wrinkle that they can use offensively. Um, and so, yeah, I think just the spread, when I first saw it, me personally, I thought it may have been just a bit too low, in my opinion. Um, but definitely, 6.5 under that touch, under 7. I definitely like jumping on that spread with the Eagles.
All right, we're definitely on way opposite sides there, but that's okay. That happens. Um, all right, I got my next pick. That is watch the Commanders -3 at the Houston Texans. I'll lay the points with the Commanders. Um, it's the only favorite I'm taking this week. Looking at the trends, they're going in favor of the underdogs, obviously. But I'm going to continue to ride the Taylor Heineke wave until it inevitably crashes. And they've won 4 of the last 5 games, with their latest one beating the undefeated Eagles. Commanders are not scoring a whole lot of points, but it means their defense is playing well, keeping the other offenses out of the end zone. The Texans have one weapon, and that is Damian Pierce. If Washington stops him, then Davis Mills will have to beat them, and that's not great for them. Um, they kept Philly under 100 yards rushing, so they might be able to at least slow him down, and I think they can. I think they can do that. Uh, Washington is 4-0-1 against the spread in the last 5 games, and Houston is just 2-4 against the spread in the last 6 games. So I like the Commanders. It's just -3 small spread, um, for a team that's it's really hot right now, and a Texans team that looks like they're going to be the first pick in the draft.
Yes, I'm actually riding with you in the same game. I'm beyond the Commanders as, like you said, this is a hot team that over the past few weeks has gotten hot and at least at the moment has shown the ability to maintain things. We see an offense in Houston that has struggled all season, and as you said, basically are a one-trick pony in Damian Pierce. And Ron Rivera teams are known to be defensive minded teams. The Commanders have, for the most part, under his time as the head coach, have been defensive led teams. And I think this will definitely be a factor in Sunday's game against Houston. Being on the road, -3, I definitely think that it's a possibility that this game is on the lower side of things. We see, game total of only 41 currently. I wouldn't be completely shocked if this game ended something like 2017, 21-17 in that range. Um, but I definitely got to go with the hot team and a short spread like that. I'll definitely take the -3.
All right, we'll get to third pick, which is the Chicago Bears +3 at the Atlanta Falcons. And in terms of the spread, the Falcons have completely fallen off a cliff. They started 6-0 and haven't covered a spread since. Mariota has been inconsistent throughout the season. On the last 2 games, he's been especially bad. Doesn't seem to be getting any better. Though the Bears have been getting up a lot of points on defense recently, Falcons are just not the team that's going to take advantage of that. The Falcons have failed to score 20 points 4 times in the last 6 games. Justin Fields got this Bears rushing offense going. Um, they've scored 29 or more points in the last 4 games. So I like the Bears to keep their high scoring trend going, and I think they can cover the +3 spread.
Yeah, if I was on that game, I'd definitely have to lean towards the Bears and their rushing offense. Um, just to look at the Atlanta in the past couple games, they played my Panthers twice in 3 weeks, and in both matchups, we saw the Panthers were able to go out there and dictate a run game and lean and rely on the run game in both games. And if I'm not mistaken, in both games, the Foreman for the Panthers had over 100 yards rushing, if not close to 100 yards in both games. And this has been a team in the Panthers at times that has struggled to maintain a run game. And the Chicago Bears coming in, we know they want to run the ball, whether it be with Fields, whether it be with one of the running backs. They're going to want to lean more on the run game. The fact that you're getting points, I could definitely go with Chicago +3. Um, my next pick this week,
All
uh,
right.
a game I was looking at. One second, I just wanted to double check. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, now they're messing with me. All right, go ahead. Give your next pick
All right.
because.
I can do that. My next pick is
Oh well,
this
I
is
just found it. If you want to.
you can go
But
ahead.
all right. But yeah, I was looking at the New York Giants and the Detroit Lions in this game. We see the Giants are -3, and honestly, I do not know why this line is this short against the Detroit Lions. I would not be shocked if this was a lower scoring game, and I could understand maybe the spread being 4.5, 5 in that range. But to put this all the way at 3, and it appears to have opened in that range, I think this line is way too short. Um, I think people are expecting some sort of fall off from the Giants, and not to say that it won't occur, but I definitely don't think the Lions are the team to slow them down. And I believe, especially it being a home game, that we'll see the Giants cover this -3 by quite possibly a touchdown.
Yeah, like I've been saying, Giants been disrespected by the odds maker all season long. That just shows up here again. I think the reason why it's probably just a lower spread because Lions just won. Giants, and like I said, they don't believe in the Giants, so that I think that's probably the reason for that. Um, but yeah, otherwise, yeah, I mean, I do like Giants. I just stayed away from because I don't know. I don't know what I'm getting from the Lions. I mean, they come out and score a lot of points one day, and next day they don't do anything. So that's what scared me about that one. But my next pick is the Cincinnati Bengals at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers getting 4.5. And last week I bet on the Steelers without much confidence. And you know what? Gonna roll the dice against once again on them. It's gonna be a much tougher matchup, obviously, than the Saints. But divisional matchups always are. The Steelers defense is different, much better with TJ Watt back in the lineup. The Steelers got after Burrow in the last matchup, sacked him 7 times. In that game, Alex Highsmith had 3 sacks on him. Um, and just last game, he had 2 sacks. And against the Saints, won AFC Defensive Player of the Week. Um, and I believe they're going to get after Burrow again. Um, it's going to cause them to make some mistakes, just like it did in the first game. And the Bengals were able to come back in that game to take it to overtime last time by mostly because Burrow was able to throw it at Jamar Chase. Now this time, Bengals are going to be without him, so I don't think that they're going to have it easy as a time doing that on offense. So like I said, going. I got paid off last time, so I'm gonna go roll with it again, and gonna pick the Steelers.
With my next pick, I'm gonna be riding with a team that you might like this pick. Dallas Cowboys -1 against against the Minnesota Vikings.
I mean, I like
And
that you picked it, but I mean, I can't really go with you on that one.
we'll see.
I don't know.
I believe a lot of people are riding the recent hype with the Vikings and their uptake in the first half of the season. And yes, they have played well in a lot of games, but I think the question is going to come down to how well does this offense perform against one of the better defenses out there, especially a defense that can put pressure on the quarterback. And, not to say that Jefferson can be um, isolated or, completely removed from a game plan, but you definitely have the possibility in Dallas to minimize Jefferson's effect on the game, get to the quarterback position, still maintain and handle Cook in the running game. And so I think we see more of the offensive production than people saw in recent memory when Cooper Rush was out there. Now that Dak's back and had a couple games under his belt. Uh, and yeah, just the spread being as low as it is, basically a pick 'em. I would jump on the money line if it wasn't better odds to just play the -1.
Yeah, his thing. I don't even know why we're favored. I don't even think we should be favored, especially on the road. Um, yeah, you said we have a good defense. It's talking about, we haven't stopped nobody on the run. I don't think we're going to stop Dalvin Cook at all. Um, our corners are banged up right now. I don't want. I mean, Trayvon Diggs probably going to be on Justin Jefferson, but they have other receivers that can do a number of. Christian Watson, working for the Packers, who haven't done had no connection with Rodgers before the Cowboys game, can do a number on us. I'm very scared of what I'm going to see this week. Um, I wasn't gonna bet my Cowboys at all, especially what I just saw last week. Um, we haven't fixed the run defense. I don't feel like we're gonna do it in this game. Um, I said on Monday's show, I think we're gonna lose. Um, it's because we keep running the same problems. I think the offense can still keep up with the Vikings. Um, Especially if we get Zeke back. I think if we focus on the run game and Kellen Moore stops being so goddamn stupid and focusing and just gets past that all the time, if we focus on the run game, I think we have a damn good shot. And one thing, just like Rogers always seems to be uh, beating us all the time, making plays that win the game against the Cowboys. I don't know why he always seems to play his best games against us, but whatever. Kirk Cousins seems to do the opposite. He doesn't play well against us. Um, he has a losing record against us. He always finds ways to lose the game against the Cowboys. So that's one thing that is on your side. Um, but yeah, I just stayed away from that game overall. No, I'm not going to bet that. But my last pick is the Kansas City Chiefs at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are +6.5, and by now, I think we've seen big point spreads in a divisional rivalry game. It's not worked out so good for the favorite. Um, Now 6.5 points may not look like a huge spread, but it is for a team with a winning record playing at home. In the last matchup, we saw Kansas City. The Chargers were leading all three quarters, and they kept it close. It was a 3-point game. They ended up losing. Um, but that was on the road. This is at home now, and I think the Chargers can play at least as well as they did the first game. And which may not give them the win, but at least I think it'll definitely cover the 6.5 point spread, and that's all really I'm worried about. Uh, the Chargers are 6-3 against the spread in the last 9 games. Chiefs are just 1-4. against the spread in their last 5 games. So I like the Chargers and a divisional man and a close divisional matchup, covering the 6.5 point spread.
Yeah, I definitely think this might be a spot where you can take advantage of, like we said, a divisional matchup with a spread that might be too large for the matchup. Um, I think, me personally, I think if someone was to make a play on this game as far as the spread, it would be either taking the Chargers plus the points or just laying off the game completely. Um, you know, at first look, things say, oh yeah, the Chiefs, they're putting up points all season long. They've seemed to not skip a beat. They been the Chiefs that they've been the past couple of seasons, and we've seen in a couple of different matchups across the NFL already in the past couple of weeks where that divisional game, you might, as we were saying earlier, you can throw that spread out the window.
Yeah. All right. Your final bets.
Um, one that I was one that yeah, the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Cardinals in Monday Night Football. The Cardinals are just a complete mess. The 49ers, especially with the addition of Christian McCaffrey, have seemed to find what they needed to help minimize Garoppolo in the pass game even more. As far, excuse me, as far as a reliance on the pass game, having the ability to move the ball and pick up chunk plays, even if it's not a 10, 15, 20 yard pickup. Even if it's late in the game, if you know you can hand the ball off and pick up 5 yards, that's still a valuable tool in anything outside of the 2 minute drill. Um, the other pieces that they have there, and just that first couple of weeks we've seen, this was clearly an addition that has helped this team a lot and has helped them click in a lot of ways, even as a couple of pieces have been banged up. They've been working through things a little bit. But looking at this Cardinals team, there's no way I can back them in any way, especially going up against the 49ers. And I'm going to be riding with that -8 on the road, kind of contrarian to what we've been saying. But me personally, I think this Cardinals team that we're going to see is just going to be that bad.
And that's the Mexico City game, right?
I believe so.
All right. Well, that goes right into our question portion of the show. If you like us to answer a question, just leave it down in the comments below, and we'll answer it on the next episode. But for now, my question was playing off that game, Mexico City. It is a neutral field game, and we've seen a lot of a lot of the European games been playing the London game, and we just had the Germany game, and there's going to be a lot more international games going forward that they have planned. So, how do you approach those games betting wise? How do you bet a neutral field game? How does the spread look like? And yeah, what all goes into that?
Well, traditionally, it's been when talking about these games, we were talking about London. Um, this was the first time they played in Germany. I think there's been one or two other locations in the UK that they've held games at, but for the most part, we were talking about heading to Europe, crossing the Atlantic. With the game in Mexico, it's quite possibly this is going to be vastly different than what we've seen traditionally with these games outside of the states, because we're not going to have that major travel and time zone change. um there'll be a slight time zone change coming from California to Mexico City for these teams, but it's nowhere near what you would see even if you were an East Coast team going to the UK. That's still a 5 hour difference. Um, Traditionally, with the games outside of the states, I would just, in most cases, stay off of them because you don't know what you're going to get. You're talking about a lot of travel, a lot of routines being upset. These are, players and coaches and staff. These are people of routines. You do things same in, same out every day. So I definitely think that it is possible that some of the tendencies or habits people may have had in the past towards these games may not apply to the Mexico game as much because in a lot of ways it's not the same circumstances that these teams have faced in the past with games in the UK.
All right. Hopefully, hopefully that helped you guys out. That is our show, so you can tell where they can find you at DWeezy.
Yes, folks, y'all can reach me at Backyard Action Media here on YouTube and also at DWeatherly90 on Twitter.
All right, you can find me at NFL Caleb 22 on Instagram and Twitter. Um, and like I said, you can find me on this channel for just this week. Good friends, Battle Rivals, um, on Mondays. But that show and this show are moving to the new channel. That is Let's Get Ready Network. The highlights. Please go subscribe to that channel so you can follow both this show, Good Friends, Battle Rivals, and all the rest of our sports show that is on our network. You can find my articles that go along with this show on our website, always at the same place, which is Let's Get Ready Network.com. Let's go check out those. And yeah, I think that's about it. Like I said, um, glad to have you back, DWeezy. Um, always nice to have you. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Um, so yeah, like I always said, like I always say every single week, let's get ready to make some money.